Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, great. I'm just going to put some headphones in so I can hear you guys clearly. How's the first week been? Fast pace?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. How many people have found it to be quite a jump compared to last class? Yeah, a few of you.
Yeah, it's been a jump for me just because it was such a short week.
Sure, yeah.
So I still need to catch up on the blocking, like finish the blocking this week.
Okay. So there's something as we move into splines, because it's now like the start of spline week, that people can stay in stepped keys if they prefer that way, and then spline pass into the polished week, which is next week. If that's the way that they prefer to work, there's no reason why you can't do that. I think it's what you got to take as spline week is you really now need to start fleshing out the kind of movement. It's not just a single breakdown; it's a lot of breakdowns, especially if you're going to do step keys. You can work out and you can see the motion go through the paces that way. Okay, so let's start by coming to there. Close that, and I'm just gonna do this. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, I'm just gonna start from the top, and then each week I'll move down the list. If people, when we're doing reviews, if there's people that actually, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it would be really nice if I could be seen first, then yeah, just let me know. But otherwise, I'll tend to just I'm going to go from the top of the list, and then I'm going to next week choose Pushkar, and then so on. So everyone seems to get a fair share. Okay, cool. Right. Move that to one side. So we're going to start with Ahmed shot. Is Ahmed here? Yep. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey, mate. So walk me through what you've been working on here at the moment, because obviously we've got a...
I just was trying to get familiar with layers.
Okay.
So I chose the 3 steps, the pause, and walking and running.
Okay.
But it seems I screw it.
Sure. So even if you are experimenting with this, it's good. The idea of blocking, right, is to tell a story from the assignment, and your video reference is there to help you kind of tell that story. But we need to see the whole piece. So it's difficult for me to critique. I mean, what you've got, the up and down motions here, right? At the moment, I don't see any interaction with the upper body. I'm gonna try and make my pen scrubbing, pressure turn that off. Okay.
Can you open my file?
Sure. Sorry, the Wacom driver currently works in Firefox up to version 52. If you have a newer version, I still okay. That's interesting. Okay, what would you like me to do in your Maya file?
To check the blending mode, because I tried the 2 method, additive and overlay, or what is it?
Yeah.
Both seems to not working well or something.
Okay, I'll quickly check that. All right, while Maya is loading up, let's just continue kind of going through here. So obviously you want some offset. Chest can be rotating down a little bit as you're going up. Right. So you've got these shapes. I'm going to try and get a stronger pen here. Right. The chest area, the hips area, right? These are your 2 solid pieces of mass, and then in between here is, the spine. So this is all very flexible, but these areas stay quite stiff. And what you're missing here is the kind of change in shape of the spine, right? It's still
Okay.
very quite stiff, whereas, you know, as you're coming up, maybe you just want the chest to just come down a little bit, and then when you're coming down, the chest kind of opens up, so then you get this kind of nice offset, and then the chest, the head is in an offset from the chest. Continue. I think if this is your walk here, you're taking very big steps, whereas, you know, a kind of when we're walking, it's a bit more
It
natural.
was really rough.
Sure. But just checking that you kind of, the mechanics of, you know, the walk is,
Yeah.
you know, the foot kind of almost kicks the ground and then comes down. I think mine is loaded up. So I will switch application. So here, what's that? Let's close that in. Okay, so you have a fair few. So that's an additive layer. These are all additive layers. That's an override. That's an additive. So if I mute all of these, you've got nothing in the base animation layer, correct?
This is what I'm worried about.
Okay, let's have a look.
So when I go to jumping, I cannot do anything.
Okay, so let's find out where your animation lives. Windows, general editors, animation graph editor. Here. Take a second while that loads. Right, so there's a layer blend on here. So there's a pose. There's some animation on here. So you have a walk. Let me hide this one. So there's some animation on here. Click, select layer node. Okay, so this is your walk layer. So your walk layer is an additive layer. So an additive layer is going to add on top of all of these. So this is also an additive layer. Okay, so if you had animation on this base layer, this layer would be adding to anything that's underneath that. Okay, so what you want is for that to really switch as an override layer, but then it screws up all the posing, just the way it's been made. The run. So the run has some animation on it. So let's try this maybe. Let's say, and let's just try the jump as well. So the jump is currently, that's the only poses for the jump. So let's extract. Okay, the run's got an override layer, so that's fine. But let's extract the animation from this walk level. So you have a, you know, and then we can delete this and mute that. So now this is an override layer, or it's still an additive layer, shouldn't be. Move this up. Five, 4, 2, 189. So I'm just going to clean up this, merging these two layers down for you. Smart Bake It. Link to baked layers. Apply. Close. Okay, so you have our, if I get rid of this now, delete. Extract selected objects. Now it should be an override layer. Okay, so all of these are override layers now. Okay, so the run is gonna kick in first. Select layer node. So the run is happening here. Then you're blending out of it into the walk layer in theory.
It's the opposite.
You want to blend into the walk, run to walk.
First walk, then running.
Okay, so here, this is set to 0. And let's just kill the weight of this. Keep it 0 so it's not affecting anything. Your walk layer needs to be set to pre and post infinity cycle. Cycle. Let's go. Come on. Just give me that layer only. It's a bit slow. Hold on. So to say pre and post infinity cycle, so we get the walk cycle happening. Oh, I'm gonna reset this. Turn off. Oops. The walk cycle is happening, and then at some point you wanted the run to kick in. I don't know. Walk, 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 walk. Maybe the run is now gonna kick in here. So we'll set a key. Maybe we'll have it over, 10 frames. Set a key. So walk, walk, run. Okay, so one thing you want to do is match up how this is blending, right? Because it's kind of getting a bit screwy. So what we can do is just adjust where this blend is happening here. So I'm just going to drag the blend node across until it starts to make sense. Okay, so it's not the blend node that doesn't make sense. So foot comes down here. What we need to do is right click and select objects and actually shift the run cycle to, so the other leg is in the lead. So wait for,
Okay.
because otherwise you're going to get cross legs, right? So what you want is if the right leg is touching the ground and you're blending into the run, that actually the run is on the right side. And at the moment they're opposite sides. Frozen here for a second. Okay. So it's in here. So I can just drag all that curve information here and slide. Come on, you wake up like that.
Oh.
It's gone in value rather than as in time. So I could just write in here probably plus equals 10. It's just going to shift the timing of that 10 frames. And now we have it on the other leg. So if we come across here, yeah, we've extended out, but we actually want it to feel like it's one motion. So maybe if we run select layer node, grab this, actually had it more here. That give me a better effect. Maybe. So if we play it through, slightly better.
Perfect.
Right. And then say at this point here, because this is our down pose, what I'm going to do is set a key, come back, set a key, and then flick to this frame and then set it to 0. Okay. Actually, I don't need to set that to 0. I should delete that. Frame 125. Remember 125. 125 will actually want the jump pose to be active. But we need to get a pose out of here. And did you have much animation on here? I can't remember. I don't think you had much going on.
No. It's nothing.
So I'd probably just delete this layer. Okay.
Yeah, better.
And what we can do is maybe do the same thing for all of these layers and actually have the jump on this layer. So what I'm going to do is reset that key. And I'm going to set a key here as well. And I'm going to come back to 117. And with both of these selected, I'm going to come down and put it to 0. So I'm running. I did it the wrong way around. This is here, 125, 0. So I'm running and then I'm coming into that pose. I'm going to turn that back up again, sorry, because I want to snapshot this pose on the base animation layer. So I just get to that layer with my object selected and hit S. And then what I can do is turn this all off and I'm still going to blend into that pose, okay? Whereas before it wasn't blending.
Okay.
Now I can lock these layers because I don't want to add anything to them. And now I can animate the rest of my character, you know, however that might be. So as I'm running, you know, I need to start working and blocking that out and getting the timing right. But you can see how you've got your walk, run, and now jump. Okay.
Perfect.
You can just retype some of this stuff. Right, so you'd have to, once you've worked these bits out and it's working quite well, I then bake everything down. So once I've got everything working, and maybe, you know, with the base animation layer, you want to make sure this isn't any other layer, and it looks like that, and that might be in all the other animes. So I'm just going to hit right-click each layer and say remove. Right-click, remove selected. Now it's only going to be animated in this base layer. So no matter if I'm over here, I still have the same running key, and then or if I put it over here, right? Boom, boom, boom. So I want to manage my animation. So if I've got my character walking now, I'm just going to set a key on this level here, and if he's walking up until the point he's like running, so I'm just going to quickly spline that out. So he's walking, whatever that might be, and then as he's running, it's going to be faster, and there's going to be a jump portion like here. But I also want that to be a lot faster because it's a run. So I'm walking, run. Right, and then jump, or whatever that else might be. Yeah, so this is how you start to layer it in. And once you've got all that down, then you just highlight all these areas, right click and do a merge. You do it with Smart Bake turned on, and it will hopefully not bake every single key. It'll, you know, maybe it's every third key on some objects, 2 on some others, but it should hold the fidelity down quite well. Let's save this out. And I will save it in one in jump. Let's call this students.
Just a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
How did you reset the layer keys?
Reset the layer keys.
The keyframe and the layer. You did reset something.
So you can right click and you can say select layer node, and that gives you the weight.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that what you was asking?
No. If there is a keyframe like here now,
Mhm.
there is a keyframe between 110. So I want to reset it to get no key on it.
You just right click them and just delete.
That's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
just you can either on the key wherever you are on the timeline, then you can right click in here and say delete, and that will just delete that one, or it'll delete all those frames. If you want to delete just
Okay.
that frame that you're on, you right click and you just delete that one frame.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. All right, so that's I saved that and I'll share that with you after the class. Okay, so I think your next stage is to just get this blocked out as an entire shot,
Yeah, sure.
and then it'll be easier to give some feedback on these. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
thanks. Okay, let's go to Pushkar.
Yeah.
Hey. All right. Here we go. Okay, so it's good, great start. The big things that I'm seeing at the moment are the change in direction
Okay.
here, between here and here. So what I see, right, is an object like this, and then I see an object like this, right?
Mhm.
So there's a big space change there, whereas actually if we kind of feed into that shape
Mhm.
with this object by maybe dropping the
Oh, yeah.
head down a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm leading with the head.
Mhm.
I'm anticipating the next move and where the body's going to be.
Mhm.
Yeah. It should just help read that a little easier.
Mhm.
And then what you're reading now is, so I've gone upright,
Mhm.
down like this, and then that.
Mhm.
So there's two drastic changes.
Okay.
So I would be favoring the previous position here.
Mhm.
So right, if this is what we're going to go for, like keep the curvature in the spine.
Mhm.
But the thing also I'm missing a little bit is from this pose is
Mhm.
that kind of
Mhm.
feel. So we're going
Mhm.
from this shape here into a kind of
Stretch
extension,
tissue. Yeah.
and then you could maybe feed into that a little bit more by not having the curvature of the spine. So I think you just need to add a breakdown in between this frame and the previous frame too. Again, this frame need a breakdown.
Mhm.
Right, so we get this kind of idea,
Mhm.
and then we go into
Mhm.
so you go using this C shape to straight.
Mhm. Yeah.
Keep this curvature still. Don't come up too quick.
Okay.
There's a big So it's only 2 frames. So I think the distance you're traveling here is too big.
Okay.
So add in maybe another 2 frames at least.
Mhm.
So about 2 frames down.
Hmm.
Reset this. You kind of want that foot to hit, right? So it's like a dun dun feel.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're coming down here,
Hmm.
and it's quite a big drop down. So you've got a big spacing, and then it kind of hits a wall, and everything kind of just crumbles up into this position here. You want to have that motion fall through. So I think you're going to need, at least another step.
Okay.
And as you're stepping through, the character's starting to stand up, whatever that might
Mhm.
look like. Okay.
Okay. So I think I'll need to take out the last bit because there's not much of frames remaining.
Well, I think you can have this moment, but I think it just needs to be here with that extra step. If you
Okay.
think about
Okay.
the energy of the jump coming through,
Hmm.
and then you can stand up through here, it just
Mhm.
gives a little bit more breathing room and sort of movement and slow down. So because
Okay.
it's inertia, right? Something heavy takes a long time to stop moving. And that's a
Mhm.
big character that you're jumping across there. So you want to be able to give it enough
Yeah.
time to slow down.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think the main issues are just that paddleboard thing that you try and figure out. Just changing
Mhm.
shape too quickly.
Okay.
Cool. Any questions?
I actually tried to add animation layer to this. I wanted to turn him back while running, but
Okay.
I faced many problems in it, so I left it.
Okay. Did what I just showed help a little more clarify in Ahmed's
Yeah.
shot? Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Nice one.
Actually, I'll try that once and I'll see if I can add it in this one.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Stefano. Okay. No worries. Let's go through this. So at the moment, everything is a good start, but it feels a bit too even, especially the jump across. It feels that everything is just very easily moving across shot. And I don't feel there's a big enough kind of drop in the body. So I think the hips need to go a bit lower. And I think the curvature of the spine, I think I'd go a bit lower, keep the spine bent a little bit more, with the head then kind of leading it. So as you're coming down, you kind of throw the head up a little bit quicker than the body. And I think here, what you need is this kind of, so you're coming across, you dip, you jump, you hit, and at the moment you kind of just softens across like this. What I think you need is the same, coming over, it's more that kind of, you hit the platform here, and you're going to have that bounce, that kind of ricochet of the hips wanting to push back up again. And I think if you added that in a little bit, you'd add a little bit more weight to the character. think you could push the pose here as well. Kind of. Really lead with the hips here. Yeah. Try and push that through a bit more. Week, maybe, I don't know, just rough ideas. Right, so you got this foot being left behind here, and it looks like you're going to fall this way, but then this leg flicks out and catches the weight. And so you got these arms traveling across this kind of motion down, hips coming this way, foot coming over this way. Does that make sense? Cool. Cool. I think that's kind of it. I think the rest is working fairly well. Is it? If there's anything you can just like delay, if you're going to keep the arms like spinning at the same time, is maybe just push the silhouette a little bit more so we can read it. Just, I mean, I'm just taking a single frame here, but you know, just adding some more space in there, and maybe just having one lead the other a little bit so it's a bit more set. If you're doing head tilts, try not to do them so planar that you actually kind of maybe just do a little tilt. So if I'm here and I'm just doing this, whereas if I kind of want to look this way but just tilt the head a little bit, and I kind of tilt the head and then tilt the head the other way, it's a bit more dynamic and not so mechanical. Anyway, cool. Any questions? Sweet. Good start. All right, let's move on to Evelyn. Hey.
Hey.
How's it going?
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I had to rush through it a little bit to have something to hand in for the first deadline.
Sure.
So it's still very much work in progress. I also added those camera cuts right at the end just to like try it out. But I think I may need to maybe leave one cut out because it works in slow motion, but I think it might be a little too quick for, if I don't want to animate in slow motion. I'm not sure.
So something I just recommend, this is go across everyone here, is actually while we're kind of getting through the kind of blocking and spline passes, is it'd be good to supply both versions, like your camera cut version and just a wide, so we can just make sure that we are analyzing the animation as a whole. it forces us to make sure that we're working also kind of in 3 dimensions a little bit, and not just the camera, because you might be working in the studio and layout decide, actually I want to change the camera, or the director says, actually can we just have the camera come from the other side, be like, oh damn, those poses might work from that angle. So it's good just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I thought that I needed to add the camera in quite quickly, because although I am trying to make everything look right from all angles, you do need to work toward the camera a little bit, right? To just make sure that you got your silhouettes that work.
No, yeah, it's the final goal is the camera. Yeah. But
so those are adjustments that you would make towards the end then?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's a good start. I feel like because we do have a fair bit of time in the air there, that we could probably do like cycle the legs. So you could have the legs kind of do this in the air. So it's not just like a big open pose. You keep the motion going.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe that shot in the air, I should just have the camera keep moving backwards so we see him land in that same cut. Because I don't know what you think, but it seemed like it might be a cut too many. One cut too many. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it the other way, right? So you could have a camera that's a bit further back, so you see him jump over camera, and then you do a reverse for the land, and then you cut straight to this camera angle. So you see him land, feet jump down, and then you cut straight to here to get all the rest of the shot.
Yeah.
So you kind of, so the first camera might be kind of, there's a platform here, and we've put a crane out. The camera's kind of looking this direction, right? So we get the first part of the shot, jumps, and then all the crane's doing is doing a reverse. So we kind of swivel that around. So then, the next shot is camera focused this direction. So we get the land, and then we cut to this camera, but maybe a little bit lower. So we're not like looking down at him. We're kind of more level with him here. We can feel that, but we might want to just pull it around to the side a little bit more, just to help sell the idea of leaning over.
Yeah.
1, 2. So with the character kind of coming down, like there's coming down, and then they hits here, and then you've got him standing up. It's a good idea to keep that going through. So then one leg would then come back through here. So we're pushing up. So it's not just up and then kind of backwards. The momentum's still going through this direction. So you get this kind of motion, so it pushes back and then we settle backwards. So then now we're coming this way. And as we're coming this way, maybe the upper body then kind of balances it back out a little bit. The leg might be terrible drawing. Chest, hips, chest, hips. So we've gone upwards, Now we're going to start going back this way. The chest is still going this way. Maybe the head is kind of counter-animated back the other way. And it's just a matter of, if this is my hip here, I'm coming down, land, and then I want to push up and then back. So yeah, I would push the foot to here. Think about where you are. Energy of the shots coming through. Again, just use our arms to brace out. Kind of, we're kind of like, whoa. The other way, it's kind of pushing through.
So you wouldn't have him do the almost falling back thing?
Maybe,
Or,
but I'm trying to just figure out the, where the energy's going from
yeah.
the jump down. I mean, you could do that, right? You could still have, this. I think you'd have to sell it more. I think maybe maybe a foot has to step back or something to keep the balance moving this way.
Yeah, I do see what you mean.
We just you want to really sell the weight, and the weight of the character of, we'll just do it simply from here, fairly even. Compares with, right now, very off center. Completely off center. We could just use that same idea of just pushing the hips behind the ankles more. So whether that's, from the side point of view.
Yeah, I was wondering how far I could have him go back.
Yeah.
If I still want him to like stay on there on his own, like without anyone pulling him in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering how far I could push that.
I think just keep pushing it until it feels a bit weird and then pull it back.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not a great drawer, but so I'd have to just move it around a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go for off balance. Like this feels more off balance than this. But I think
Yeah, I thought maybe if I just have the upper body go back, but keep the hips more above the feet, then it would work to, for him to come back from it. But
yeah. So I mean, you could keep this, but then just bring the foot back a little bit, just to adjust.
yeah.
Right. So it's just like, oh, okay. So he can't go any further back. That he's adjusting his weight. Yeah. Okay. So when you're bringing feet, make sure that we just have a shift of weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also, if you're taking weight, then, shift the other side. Then you can settle back this side. But yeah, cool. Any questions? I think it's a great start.
No, that was great. Thank you.
All right, nice. Okay, Brett.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, you?
Not bad, not bad. So since last week, I went in and just put a few of the frames in. I didn't get them all in yet. I did play with the shoulders and the hips, like you commented last week. I still need to go in and play with having like the head kind of like control the movement of it. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I got since last week.
Cool. Yeah, so things like this, right? Everything's moving together. I think I mentioned before about dipping the head. So leading more with the forehead. It's going to show up. Just his eyes this way. It's kind of like things you want to move this way. Whether you do that before the rest of the body is probably a good idea. But lead, question mark, test that. Feeling more of a reaction on your balance here when you got the pressure going on the hip. I think you can push that a bit more. Push. So I think you could definitely get more shoulders, especially when you're doing that kind of feel, like when you're bouncing through. Really kind of either have them kind of feel like they're going to lead with the motion or kind of like a follow through.
Okay, cool.
This is a really nice feature to add into the blocking. The way your foot's rolled right onto the edge. I'd add that into the pose so it's not so flat-footed. It just pushes the pose a bit more. Right.
Cool. Yeah, it's no problem. I can throw that in there.
Cool. So as you're coming down here, to raise those shoulders up. So as you're coming across, you're kind of anticipating with the shoulders. So I'm going to go up before I go down. And that would be a nice way to add in something else to the motion. add some more compression to the spine before you go up. Adds a cheap way to add a bit more weight into the character. Maybe
Should
angle.
I kind of keep? Oh, good.
I was going to say, just keep the angle of direction that you want to go in. So this line of action, you're going to cross shot rather than up. So you're going to compress and then shoot across the shot that way. It's just these small adjustments, but I think it helps a little bit more, just to add a bit more dynamic feel to the shot. What was you going to say?
I was just gonna say, should I keep the C shape until right when he kind of stretches out then? Because I played with kind of getting more of a bend on one of the frames, but I didn't really go in and exaggerate it too much. Like right there, I think it was a few more breakdowns beforehand. I had more of a C shape. That one right there. Should I keep that shape until he kind of stretches out then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think you're coming out a bit too early. Okay, so the other thing I'll just do here is just make sure you got the hips in this angle with the foot coming down. Right, just feels like the hips are just favored the other way a bit too much. So then when you hit the contact here, then you'll see a nice change of direction. So foot's coming down here, hits, and the pop the hip up. Yeah, I'll go for more compression down here as well. Now really push it, especially in the blocking, just really push it because you'll just see it. And then when you turn it into splines, it will just be so exaggerated that you can just start to dial back a little bit and then it'll feel nicer.
Okay, cool.
Same with the shoulders again as you're coming down. Close the neck, the gap of the shoulders to the neck with that negative space, because it does help immensely if you can start doing that.
I started to bring it up, but I started getting a weird like shape in the back where it was like the shoulders were up higher, but then it was a huge kind of like I don't even know how to explain it, like gap kind of where the neck is.
Yeah. So was you translating or just rotating?
Translating.
Okay. I was going to suggest translating it, but I didn't realize it caused such a weird gap. It just that goes. You can go from kind of these shapes to these shapes. So it's like compressed kind of feel to then this pop.
Okay, maybe I should even I'll play with the shoulders and try and translate them back, and then I can maybe even play with the translation on the actual head. Maybe then kind of like playing around with that. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm constantly. I don't just rotate the head. I'm definitely pushing the head in, so it feels like then the neck shrinks a little bit. So yeah, definitely do that.
Okay, cool.
Cool. As you're going through and you finish like a spline pass, for some extra polish on this area, is I tend to put this on an anim layer, and I just mess around with the TY. So just do like a straight ahead pass on kind of offset, and it starts to get this nice compression offset with the chest. There's a kind of just a straight ahead pass, and you can dial that up and down on an anim layer if it feels too much, or just completely kill it without fucking around with the curves that you've been cleaning up.
All right, cool.
So another spline pass thing to think about, just, as we're going down into the fingertips, as you move the hand out, just like flare them a little bit to feel like they've got a little bit of drag in the fingers. Yeah. Finger drag. There's something to be thinking about as you're splining. How about just starting the hips a little bit more down? Just a little bit, just as you rock across here, you just feel a bit more of a shape change. Change. This. I think overall this feels good.
Cool, thank you.
Cool. Any questions?
No, I think I'm cool right now. If I run anything, I might shoot you a message.
Cool. Yeah, as we're moving into
Thank-
spline pass as well, make sure everyone just turns off their video ref, because then I don't need to look at that anymore.
Cool. Thank you again.
All right, thanks, man. Okay, Julia?
Yeah, hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I think it was okay. I just followed my reference and altering some poses,
Cool.
before jump, because in the reference I leaned back, and in animation it's like he wants to stop. So I
Sure.
altering it for a squash a little bit, before jump.
Cool. Okay, so come through here. Just a small adjustment on some poses. Just keeping the toe
Okay.
a little bit more down. I want to make sure that we've definitely got the chest engaged in some of the rotation, right? Just like the walk, the chest should be pointed towards the knee, so it's rotated inwards. Again, I think we can get the shoulders animating here. Working.
Yeah. Okay.
So something else with a run, just to see if you can get it working, is when running at quite speed, we don't tend to heel strike, right? It's more kind of on the balls of the feet. So rather than like in a walk where you kind of flick through and then you land like that, it's kind of is happening like this a lot more. So just scraping the floor really, more flicking. Imagine kind of you're constantly trying to flick dirt behind you, if that makes sense. So you're never gonna dig in and then flick that way. It's kind of just okay.
Okay.
Again, just pointing that toe back a little bit. This pose is okay, but I think it's a bit too early. So I would be kind of delaying this leg flicking through a bit more and really doing this. Yep. So yeah, I just check in splines to see that
Yeah, okay.
the arc is coming through here, because it feels maybe that we kind of, I mean, it's hard to tell because it's just too many, a few too many poses. That, just that we haven't gone kind of up, and then we've missed something out over here.
Okay.
Okay, I'll keep that leg back here.
Okay.
Okay. And then you can bring it through like that. Push the hip shapes.
Okay.
So between this pose and this pose, you definitely want to try and have more of a breakdown. So if I just look at it from the side view, I'm going to do a rough guess of what's going on here. And then we get this pose. Right, somewhere in between where maybe you have, I'm going to exaggerate this, whereby this is your nose, and then your nose, and then up here. Right, so as you come down, you compress, and then the hips maybe lead the motion, but the chest is still going down a little bit, and then you can come up. And it's just that kind of snake pose. So you come down, there's a compression here, then there's here, here, and then you can start to come up. So it's all about like kind of those S shapes. Think about it as thinking of your head as an exaggeration, but don't go too far with it, because all it is just a simple breakdown between here, where maybe you just delay the head coming down and the chest rotates still a little bit more. Okay.
Okay.
And I'd push this pose here by actually pushing the hip across more. So we have, because you've got this motion down and around and you're coming up. So we come this way, still going right to left, still going right to left. Yeah, so it allows you to kind of get that feeling of coming up that way. So the head's come up, but the arms are dropped down. So you got opposite action, which is nice.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, yeah, we could land here again if we want to. Could even delay the foot by raising that up a bit more if we wanted to. Yeah, and then as you're coming down now, the arms are coming up. The foot could be up a little bit more, and then you settle by finally pushing back this way. Something like that. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. I think all in all, I thought feels good.
Yeah, I have a question actually. At the start of my critique, you said about run and just but I don't understand how to implement in my animation. Like, what do you mean exactly?
The balls of the foot. So rather than that to that, we would have or should I say? Oh, undo. And then you'd have the ball of the foot, right? So this is the heel, and you're going heel to flat foot. What you're doing is you're pointing down as you're coming through. You're kind of just flicking the ball of the toes. You might feel a little compression of the heel, just drop down a little bit, but it's pushing back, so it's quick. So here,
yes,
this drawing,
understand.
I would be going. Yeah, where the heel is actually still off the ground.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
So then it's just a matter of just staying on the heel.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No. Thank you very much.
Nice. Good work. All right. Jason. Hey, mate.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. Just a tip, if you do things like this with very limited geometry, just create a ton of cubes. So just do a line of cubes like this, and maybe they're kind of that spaced apart in the background, and then just duplicate them across the whole back, because then it helps to cell travel.
Okay, yeah.
So I think the same idea goes for your run here as well, as trying to keep the ball of the foot as the contact. That'd be good.
If I do that, should I push my body even forward? So like the.
Do you mean push the
like
hips
if I
over
want
the
to
foot?
land? Yeah. Should I
You
or
can
just
do.
give it like this? Okay.
So when you come to spline out the run, just check the head's not doing this too much. So it just feels a bit kind of like a chicken.
Yeah, okay.
Chicken head. You could probably get away with that a little bit by having like a dip in the head. So it feels like it does a little circle rather than just a back and forth, just a little dip.
Yeah, has a trend blending problem there. But after
It
you
looks like it's switching feet. Yeah. So if it's switching feet, then just go and grab your run cycle and just drag the cycle up and down until it matches the right foot that you want it to land on.
Yeah. Sure.
So we want to go from this shape to this shape. You can see by just doing very simple lines that the difference in kind of the impact and the direction that we're going in, it just does wonders, right? Even if I just kind of throw these basic arm things up here, and then I throw them back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very kind of Patrick Swayze-esque. So if you can do this type of jump, I think you're probably going to be better off having 2 feet on the ground.
Okay. Okay.
Because at least then you've got both feet to show that the emphasis of weight and the force that you're pushing with, because your arms aren't going back, they're going forward.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So with this, when you get to the precipice of the jump, make sure the hips just go slightly past that before they come down. So you've got this, this kind of reverse kidney bean shape at the moment. And then as that's coming through, so this is going to start coming down. This is still going to travel that way. So then you start to get this shape, right? But now
So you mean like kind of follow the curve?
Yeah. So now they're almost parallel. And then what you want is the hips still traveling that curve. Okay, a little bit. And then it would start to come down. And maybe it's going to kind of compress the back a little bit here. And then it will start to push out again. Right. So you would get this kind of, this arc. It kind of goes through that motion. And then you just have a flat bean almost here. And then maybe if it's going over the top, then the hips will just continue going down until it can't move anymore. You get this kind of shape where you jump up, chest hits down, it's coming down, but then the hips are still going and it's following through. So it goes much just like a tail, right? You know, if we were to draw a tail on this character, and then it would come down like that. So you can see the shape that it's traveling through. The legs become the tail almost. They kind of flip around through. So this could be foot, it might be, and then they kind of bonk on the floor. But you see how that kind of all marries up together?
Yeah, yeah.
I believe I can fly indeed. So if we take this position here where you're just landing just dead flat, everything's moving down together. Here, but if we'd have taken the hips on the same journey, an arm out here somewhere, you were saying. Right. It's just, that's more appealing to see. And then as you hit here, chest is hitting. Depending on how much you want to break the legs. You see how the kind of it's rolling the spine up and then unraveling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I would do on my compression frames on my run as well is, so this would be my extended frame here, chest, right? I mean, I'm exaggerating, but my chest is following this angle, hips are following that angle because the legs are back. And then on my compression, I'm going to bring them together. Right? So now I'm facing this angle and this angle. So it allows the hip to feel like it's rocking back and forth as you're compressing. So as you're compressing down, you feel like the hips rolling underneath and the spine's bending.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just dead stiff in one location. Right? You feel this kind of flexion and extension in the spine. But yeah, cool. Any questions?
Yeah, actually, do you like, so we do a round cycle in an animation layer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you polish that first and then you merge it to the other layers, or do you merge it first and you do the polish?
I would probably make sure I'm at least very happy with the run cycle, because if you, depending on how long you're running for, which is, you know, a fair chunk of this. How many frames do you want?
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Yeah. So you want to, if you don't polish that, you're going to have to polish it somewhere. So I would spend some time, you know, maybe it's just one day polishing it, and then the rest of the day is then just baking that down and implementing the rest of the shot. But do you use Studio Library at all?
No.
Okay, so it's a free online animation library that you can save your poses to or animation. So you could always, if you need to get it back again, just bring it into the shot on a fresh animation layer, which you could always go, yeah, I've worked on it even more, but I want to be able to implement that into into my existing shot. You know, so you can always rebuild the shot again. So that's some way you can do that.
I'll search it up.
All right, cool.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, nice. All right, is that anything else?
One last thing. Do you think I should so at the end the jumping part, should I make him in the air more, so like it will be more cartoony, or do you think it's?
I think that's fine.
Like this. Okay. Good. Okay.
Cool. Nice.
Right. Yeah.
Sweet.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Jesse.
Hello.
Hey.
Where's my, oh, there it is. All right.
You with me? There we go.
Yep, I'm right here. I think I mentioned this in the notes when I submitted the homework, but I was kind of annoyed because I messed up that nice slowdown at the end that I had, but I think I fixed it like yesterday, so I got it back. Because I see like at the end after the jump, it's a little even walking. And before I had like a nice slow into it, but I fixed it like yesterday, so I haven't updated. Yeah,
that's cool.
Still working on it, but yeah.
Cool. So I think when you go into splines, just trying to make sure that we feel the hip and the shifting of weight is there. That's the you know, the common thing. I think I can see the poses when I look at them individually, but sometimes like just that hop there across felt a bit light. I can't see where the anticipation of that hop's come from. So I'd make sure we have like a little down before we go up. It's like before the up. Okay. I think you could add a little bit of the rotation to the head here. You've got a bit of translation overlap. I think like a little rock in the rotate on the X as you're coming down, and then you hit the bottom, and then a little kind of ricochet of the jaw coming through. That'd be nice. Same comment goes for shoulders. You know, just a little overlap with them. Okay, so here, this pose, he's off balance, right? I feel like he wants to go this way, but then in the next pose, he's coming across. So I think you need to push the character over more. So he's kind of more here, right? So if we really wanted to exaggerate, maybe it's up here. I don't know where these arms going at the moment. You know? So you can go in from this into that. That feels more logical. Yeah. Again, here. Right, just subtle changes, just trying to work at that line. You know, again, just here, just check and make sure that you're on balance, because I think some of the poses, like when you've definitely got your grounding poses here, it's just a bit off balance. But you know, I think it's an easy adjustment. And I think it's you kind of it doesn't help that your character's legs are kind of, you know, blooming matchsticks, which are super unrealistic. So maybe this is a point where it's okay. I've got the timing and, you know, the rough idea here, but now let me just try and work the pose to match my character rather than what the video reference maybe what it looked like a little bit. Now, I think this is good expression. I think what would be really good here is as you're running down, you kind of drop in that head and you kind of do a little scoop up as you're kind of running down, like that. It'd be a nice little pop up. So here, why not we start lowering the head down.
Do you think I would have to lower the body a teeny bit too? Or you think it would be okay with just the head lowering it?
I think it'd be okay because you kind of just, as long as you come in, you know, I can lower my head down without actually really adjusting my body a little too much. Maybe a gentle, you know, kind of rocking in the chest just to feel like I'm compressing my spine up because, you know, I've only got what I got 4 vertebrae up in my neck. You know, at some point it's gonna want to rock over a little bit.
Cool. Maybe I could even, do you think maybe I could even like physically like squash the head a teeny bit? Or do you think that think
save
you can do it with
squash
the
and stretch
controller.
till later, like as a polish
Okay.
thing. A lot of people seem to want to add the kind of scaling on the head, and the rig isn't really built for it. It doesn't work very well.
Okay.
Use squash and stretch for when there may be a bit of strobing going on. You know, when you've got a pose here and you want to get to this pose over here. This is frame 1. This is frame 3. The kind of smearing for frame 2 would be really good at kind of stretching that ball across. Because if I kept the ball round shape, it's gonna flash pop 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 because the spacing's too large for it to get to over a certain amount of time. So what all this is doing, all smear frames are there for, is just to soften the eye. You know, just help get from A to B in a kind of smooth way. So the only thing, as I'm kind of stepping through this, is I've got this kind of line of action going through here, like this. And then when I get to the next frame, the line of action goes back, right? Which is, I mean, it's a nice pose, but if we can just favor that over a bit more screen left, so it doesn't look like in screen space that I'm going forward and then back and then forward again, right? Just taking, like, use the head as your guide, right? As long as the head is kind of feeling like that momentum's going forward, the rest of the body should favor that as well. Yeah, and so most of these poses you just want to pull, you know, screen space a little bit more further left, or if it's messing up the arc, just push the arc a little bit further forward, you know, this way. Again, I would be tempted to try and get both feet down. If you can get it down in time without screwing up too much. The only thing is because what you end up seeing is, right, it's just this kind of dead trailing leg otherwise. Because you got a big kickoff, it's like, you know, where's the kind of effort coming from?
I think I can make it work.
Yeah. So I'd try and pull this knee out. To read a bit more of the silhouette here. I put question marks next to every drawing I do because, you know, these are just suggestions. I feel like the body wants to come down here earlier. Right, so he's coming, jump, that kind of feel, right? So if you ever worried about doing things like that, just quickly do a very straight ahead pass with a very small sphere. Just to write, okay, so that feels better. I know actually it's too light, too fast. It's a lot quicker to do it with just one little object than it is to kind of get all the whole body positioned in kind of tandem like that. So yeah, the only thing I'm missing is a little bit kind of that boom, boom, slowing down at the end. It just feels a bit kind of floaty.
Yeah.
Cool. Any questions?
I had one, but I forgot what it was. So if I remember, I'll message you.
Okay. No worries.
I completely forgot. Oh, sorry. Cool. Thank you
That's
so
all right.
much.
Nice.
Thanks.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Justin.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, man. Maybe good morning for some. Good evening for me.
It's sleepy morning for me. It's 6 now.
Oof.
All right. So Yeah, mostly everything I just have it in place. I just did a pretty basic like blocking and then went through and did a breakdown pass. And next, before I move in this line, I plan on making him actually move through a scene.
Mm-hmm.
But just looking.
So again, I think just using those cubes, as I was explaining to Justin, which not Justin, sorry, Jamie, yeah. Do that. Jason, sorry, not Jamie. My bad. It's just a quick way to just help sell, especially if you're going to be traveling through space quite fast.
Yeah, there's also, if you notice along the track, some markers kind of as well, evenly spaced. So that should help out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So let's have a look at this.
So I've only got this camera view uploaded, but I did upload my Maya file as well if you just wanted to look at it in Maya. So whatever you'd like to do.
Okay. Looking at this for now. So if I look at this pose, I'd be tempted to pull the hip back this way, right? Because you want to feel like the hip is kicking forward. Yeah. And I'd be tempted to change the line of action to better marry up with that line. Right, so I'd be pushing the hip a bit more forward. I'd be rotating that kind of body control over this way in the X. So what you want is this kind of, I'm running, jump and land.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because there's so extreme poses here as well, I'd be tempted to make sure that we do animate our hip back and forth like this, just so you get that kind of rocking feeling.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, it's going to help add a little bit of shape change to the spine area as well.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think you got all the information in here. I think, yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those things for this shot. We need to see it in context now with it moving through space.
Right, okay.
I think you got all the information. It might be nice to... I think definitely trying to do just before you do the jump, because we don't really have any anticipation in there for the type of jump this is. That actually, as you're running, maybe it's something that the shoulders kind of just come up a little bit, and then you kind of, that's your kind of anticipation. You're building up. So the idea is like you want to add in some compression before there's an extension. So anything that we can do to kind of help sell that, and because this is a really fast shot, that you are going to have less compression in the spine. Is there somewhere else where you can add that tension in, right?
Okay.
The idea of muscles contracting before they fire, and you know, let that body explode out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I want to see, yeah, I think I definitely want to see it moving through space, because I want to see how you're going to get the roll to continually move through with these shapes. Because at the moment it's kind of like we're falling to the side and we're back, and then we start moving forward again.
Right.
Cool. And I would probably
I got some head motion for. Oh, sorry. I got some head motion for free with just the body movement and the upper body and everything. So
Yeah.
I think I need to add any more. I was worried about getting that chicken head kind of thing you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. So I'd go for that as the head's coming back here, just before it comes forward, just do a little dip. So you will get that kind of feel. That make more sense?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I wouldn't keep the hands open. So you either do something a little bit more so you can break the kind of index finger out, or loosely fists, so the knuckles kind of more like that shape, and then maybe you can open them up as you're jumping, just somewhere else to go with that.
Yeah, I didn't mess with them too much except for after he hits the ground and does the roll, so they didn't clip through too much.
Yeah. I think the same thing goes for the contact, is go for the ball or the foot, especially for this run, rather than heel placement. I think here, the shape of that foot's most likely going to be heel up, the contact of the foot here.
Yeah, since it was so fast, I was having trouble finding good contact poses, so I just kind of did my best for now.
Yeah, I'd be because basically, actually what we're supposed to be doing, everyone is supposed to run on their balls, even if you're jogging, because what happens is this allows to act like a spring. Yeah, it's like a shock absorber, like in a car.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at dinosaurs or cats or any kind of animal that actually does it properly, is they'll ball first and then there's like a compression. Is that we're only stupid because we wear trainers that we go heel first.
Okay,
yeah. Cool. I think, I don't really have much else to add at the moment. It'd be great to see maybe another pass on Thursday if you get it moving through shot.
Yeah, I should be able to get some more done. The next goal for the next class, I want to try to get those markers in for the distance and get him moving at least roughly, and then get ready to go to spline.
Cool.
All right.
Any questions?
Great. Thanks a lot. If I have any questions, now I'll send something to you later.
All right. Nice. Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot.
And Vicky. Hey, Vicky. It's 2 a.m. over here right now. Oh, Pushka, I feel for you. Sorry. Hey, Vicky, you there? If you are there, I cannot hear you at the moment. Right, cash in. Ah, okay. No worries. I will leave. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing I noticed about this was, we're moving this way and then we jump, but we kind of don't go anywhere past this. It'd be better if the kind of shot and you kind of landed more over here, just to help with the, you're running, you jump over something. Camera space, I mean, from a side view, it might not be like that, but in camera space, it definitely feels like you kind of just stop here. No worries. Are you using the animation layers technique, or are you just going like straight ahead, pose to pose. It's cool. All right. So first thing we want to make sure is that our character is moving across consistently. That this is our TZ. Okay, TZ. That, you know, if this is the moment of the jump, that it's consistently moving through at single speed, and then when the land happens, it's going to be a slight ease in, and then it will kind of come to an end. At the moment, it feels a bit like our character is like doing this, whereby there's small little plateaus of movement across, and then obviously with the jump, it doesn't move anywhere further forward. So go for something more like back curve. So this pose here, let's just try and emphasize what you're trying to do. And I'd probably be tempted to rotate the head towards camera a little bit, so I get this kind of travel the opposite direction. So I'm looking this way, and as I jump up, my head's going to turn and go that way. Again, by rotating the hips so they point that way, rotating the chest so it points down, you're going to get this natural flexion in the spine. Right, so you can see the kind of difference that makes already by just going from that C shape to a straight. Then we come over here. Then I'd want to compress my hips up again. Again, pointing my chest down. Then rotate my hips up. Really pushing that. So at the moment, the character feels too light. So he jumps up, and then he's up, and then he kind of starts to float down. So if you ever want to try and figure out the weight of that character and the timing of it really quickly, just get a ball and just do the bouncing ball trick, right? So you just, you know, here's my up pose, my down pose, my other contact pose. You know, let's start with, you know, this is frame 1, this can be frame 6, and this can be frame maybe 10 to start with, right? So you just feel that. Nope, it's too slow, too fast, not enough. So we just work on that, and then you can use this information to kind of guide how quickly that character needs to come back down. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd probably be, let me just draw a line here. I'd almost take the jump, right, and then put every main pose that you want to hit on every 5th frame or every 4th frame, and see how that feels. Oh, that's too quick, or that's a bit too slow, because it'll give you something just to work with in terms of limiting spacing and time. So if you my jump pose here is on frame, we'll just say frame 40. This is my compression, flatten. My extension pose, frame 44. My in air pose, 28. And then my other contact, 52. And then squash, 56. Just those simple those ideas. How does that feel? Or actually, this part here is too quick. Or actually, this part here is too quick. So therefore, I'm just going to add another 2 frames. So 52. Now it becomes 54, and then this one might be okay at 56, but actually we want to add 2 frames here. Right, so it just limits the idea of I don't have to worry about spacing and timing at the same, all at the same moment. I can just kind of go, I like my poses, but I now want them to hit on different times. It might be a nice way to be able to break down what's going on here. Cool. So when you're jumping up, right, and you're coming down, the arms are quite light compared to the rest of the body. So as you're coming down, have the arms still traveling up. Maybe the head rotates a little bit. You might also want to do kind of that, right? Jump up, one arm's leading, coming down, and then the other arm's still up a little bit. So you're building some offsets. So you're coming up here, you're starting to come down, but actually, why don't we just keep these arms coming up a little bit as we're coming down. So now you've got this opposite action, things going up, things coming down. The head can do a very small version of the opposite direction by just doing a little rotate. So as I come down, my head is going to rotate up a little bit, and then I hit, the body comes up, my head is going to rock down. So I've got, right, it's a nice way to add in that kind of weight and that overlap. Cool. So that's what I do. We need to start smoothing out the poses, and we need to start working mainly on the timing around here to make sure that you've got the weight of the up and the down. And I'd probably do that by just clean up the poses and work every 4 frames, and then seeing if things are working or if it's too slow, or if things are a bit too fast. But that would be the way I kind of approach this at the moment. And do you have any questions about that? Is that okay? It's blind due for Sunday, yeah. Is that okay? Cool. All right. No worries. I mean, Thursday sessions are there for demos or anything you want me to go through, and I think it's probably a good idea that maybe a few of you might want to show some more updates on Thursday if you want that opportunity. So it's not just one look at your work, a week. I think try and get two rounds in, and then I can do another kind of spline pass. I do more of a splocking pass method for blocking out a shot, so you can kind of block and spline at the same time. You can just see how that might improve the speed of your workflow. Give you a bit more time for polish or just seeing mistakes early enough. Cool. Does anybody have any questions in general though? No? All clear? Everyone got good enough direction on their shots? No confusion? Sweet. All right then. Well, we'll call it a good evening or a good morning for some of you. And I should see you all on Thursday then.
Thanks, Ben.
Nice.
Thank
all right.
you.
Take care, everyone. Good start. Bye.
Bye.